Ladies and gentlemen, today is not just another day. It is a moment of possibility, a chance for transformation, a divine invitation to step into something new. Too often we carry the weight of yesterday into today, allowing past disappointments, failures, and heartaches to define us. But what if today was different? What if today was the day where something shifted, where the old was left behind and something fresh, something powerful, something beyond what we could ever imagine was set in motion? Life has a way of making us comfortable in the familiar, even when the familiar is not serving us. We hold on to routines that drain us, relationships that stunt us, mindsets that limit us. We say we want change, but deep down we hesitate, because change means surrendering what we know for something we cannot yet see, and that is terrifying. But what if the fear of the unknown is keeping us from the extraordinary? Imagine standing in front of a door, locked for years. You've knocked, you've prayed, you've tried every key you could find, and just when you were about to turn away, exhausted and discouraged, something happens. The door begins to open, not because of your strength, not because of your striving, but because there was always a greater force waiting to make a way. The problem is never whether something new is possible. The problem is whether we are ready to receive it. Let go of the expectation that new things will always come wrapped in comfort. Sometimes the greatest transformations come in the form of disruption. The loss of a job that leads to the career you never dared to chase, the heartbreak that paves the way for a love beyond your dreams, the closed door that forces you to discover the one meant only for you. We don't always recognize new beginnings because they rarely arrive looking the way we expect, but that doesn't mean they aren't happening. What if instead of resisting, we stepped forward in faith? What if we stopped fighting to hold on to what is dying and made room for what is waiting to be born? Renewal is not a passive process. It requires us to show up, to believe, to stretch beyond what we think we're capable of. There is a shift happening in your life right now. Can you sense it? Can you feel it stirring? The winds are changing, the tide is turning, but you must be willing to step out of the boat and walk into the unknown. This is not the end of your story. No matter what has happened, no matter how many times you have fallen, there is still more ahead. Doors you thought were locked forever will open. Paths you never saw coming will appear. The chapters that once brought you pain will become the testimony of your strength. And when you look back, you will realize that every delay, every detour, every moment of waiting was preparing you for something greater than you ever imagined. So today, stand in expectation. Let go of the fear. Open your heart, because something new is already in motion. The past does not define you. The present is not your final destination. And the future is waiting for you to step into it. Life is not meant to be lived in the shadows of yesterday. Every moment holds within it the power to shift, to change, to unfold into something greater than what we have known. Too often we allow our past to dictate our present, believing that what has been will always be. We carry the weight of old failures, past disappointments, and lingering regrets as if they are chains meant to hold us in place. But what if today was the day to release them? What if today was the moment to break free from everything that has kept us bound and step into the new? There is a whisper deep within that tells us there is more to become, more to experience, more to embrace. But stepping into something new requires courage. It demands that we loosen our grip on what is familiar, even when the familiar feels safe. Comfort is deceptive. It can keep us trapped in cycles that no longer serve us, in places that were only meant to be temporary, in mindsets that limit the fullness of who we are meant to be. But transformation does not happen in comfort. It happens in surrender. It happens when we choose to believe that something greater is possible, even when we cannot yet see it. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean. You have spent years wading in the shallows, afraid of the depth, afraid of what might come next, but the waves were never meant to scare you, they were meant to carry you. You were never meant to stay where your feet could touch the ground. You were created to step into the unknown, to trust that the waters will not drown you, but take you to places you have never dreamed. A new thing is waiting to unfold in your life, but it will not force its way in. It is an invitation, not an imposition. It asks you to let go of the doubt that tells you change is impossible. It asks you to silence the voice that says you are not worthy of something new. It asks you to rise, to stand in faith, to believe that you were never meant to live a life of repetition but of renewal. This moment right now is a crossroads. You can choose to stay the same, holding on to the old stories that have defined you for too long, or you can dare to believe that this is your season of transformation. The past does not hold the final say. The pain, the setbacks, the waiting, it was all preparing you for what is coming. Something is shifting. The door you thought was closed is about to open. The chapter you thought was over is only the beginning. And when you look back, you will realize that the moment you chose to believe was the moment everything began to change. Change is a paradox. We crave it, yet we fear it. We ask for something new, yet we cling to what is familiar. There is a strange comfort in what we already know, even when it no longer serves us. The routines we follow, the mindsets we nurture, the relationships we hold on to, even the ones that drain us, can become our safety nets. But true transformation does not happen in safety. It happens when we are willing to loosen our grip on what is comfortable and step into what is unknown. There is a reason the past is behind us. It was never meant to be our home, but too often we keep looking back, holding on to old versions of ourselves, revisiting places that no longer nourish our souls. We replay past failures as if they define us. We stay in situations long after we have outgrown them, mistaking familiarity for destiny. And then we wonder why we feel stuck, why we feel empty, why nothing seems to change. The truth is, new things cannot enter a life that refuses to make space for them. Imagine standing in a garden with both hands full of wilted flowers. Petals dry, stems broken. They were once beautiful, but their season has passed. And yet you hold on to them because they remind you of what once was. But as long as your hands are full, you cannot receive the fresh bouquet that is being handed to you. This is how we often live, gripping the past so tightly that we have no room for what is meant to come next. Letting go is not a loss. It is an act of faith. It is trusting that releasing the old will make space for something greater. It is understanding that you are not abandoning what once was. You are simply making room for what is meant to be. Growth requires us to shed, to release old habits, old fears, old narratives that no longer align with the person we are becoming. Just as the trees surrender their leaves in autumn, knowing that new life will come in spring, we too must learn to release what no longer serves us so that renewal can take place. There is something new waiting for you, but it will not force its way in. It is waiting for you to make room, to open your hands, to trust that what is coming is greater than what has been. Holding on to the past may feel safe, but it is keeping you from stepping into the fullness of who you are meant to be. So today, dare to let go. Dare to believe that the future holds something greater. Dare to step forward knowing that the moment you release what no longer serves you, something new will take its place. New beginnings rarely announce themselves with grand fanfare. They do not always arrive wrapped in joy, nor do they always look like the opportunities we imagined. Sometimes they come disguised as endings. Sometimes they arrive in the form of closed doors, unexpected detours, or even heartbreak. And because they do not look like what we expected, we resist them. We mourn the loss of what was, unaware that what feels like the end is often the very thing making space for something greater. There is a rhythm to life that we do not always understand in the moment. What seems like chaos is often divine order rearranging things in our favor. That job you lost, the relationship that fell apart, the opportunity that slipped through your fingers. It may feel like failure, but what if it was redirection? What if it was life shifting you away from what was not meant for you and moving you towards something beyond what you could ever plan for yourself? Growth is not always gentle. Sometimes it comes in the form of disruption, forcing us out of our comfort zones and into the unknown. But just because something is uncomfortable does not mean it is not good for us. Imagine a seed buried in the soil. In the darkness, beneath the weight of the earth, it seems like nothing is happening. From the outside, it looks as though it has been buried, forgotten, left to decay. But in reality, something miraculous is taking place. The pressure of the soil, the breaking apart of the seed's shell, the stretching of roots beneath the surface. None of it looks beautiful in the moment, but it is necessary, because before the seed can bloom, it must be broken. Before it can reach for the sky, it must first grow unseen beneath the ground. In the same way, there are moments in life where we feel buried under circumstances we do not understand. We mistake the process for punishment. We think the darkness is working against us, when in truth it is preparing us. We are not being buried, we are being planted. The breaking, the waiting, the uncertainty, it is all part of the transformation. And when the time is right, what was once hidden will bloom in ways we never imagined. So when things do not go as planned, when doors close and paths shift, do not be discouraged. What looks like an ending may be the beginning you have been waiting for. Trust the process, even when it does not make sense, because what is coming is greater than what has been. The breaking is only temporary. The delay is not denial. The closed door is not rejection. It is protect. And when the season is right, you will look back and understand that every setback, every detour, every moment of waiting was leading you exactly where you were meant to be. Nothing new happens without action. Wishing for change is not enough. Hoping for something better is not enough. Transformation requires movement, even when the path ahead is unclear. Too often we wait for a perfect moment, for a sign, for certainty before we take the first step. But the truth is, there is never a perfect time. There is never a moment where fear vanishes completely, where every detail is neatly laid out before us. Faith does not require certainty, it requires trust. The willingness to step forward even when we do not see the whole staircase. Life rewards those who dare to believe before they see proof. The door you have been waiting for will not open if you are standing still. The opportunities you seek will not arrive while you sit in hesitation. Sometimes the very thing you are waiting for is waiting for you to move first. The river does not part before you step in. The breakthrough does not come while you are standing at a distance, analyzing every possible outcome. It comes when you step forward, even if your legs are shaking, even if your voice trembles, even if you do not feel ready. There is a moment in everyone's journey where they must decide to trust the unseen, to leap before they know where they will land, to plant the seed before they know when it will bloom. Growth is not predictable, it does not follow our timelines, nor does it always happen the way we expect. But one thing is certain, nothing grows without action. Imagine a traveler standing before two paths, one familiar, the other unknown. The familiar path is worn, predictable, safe. It is the life they have always known, the patterns they have always followed, but deep inside they know that the familiar path leads nowhere new. The other path is unmarked, filled with uncertainty, but it holds the possibility of something greater. This is where most people hesitate, stuck at the crossroads of what is and what could be. But the only way to experience the new is to leave the old behind. The only way to see what is possible is to take the first step, even when you do not know where it leads. Faith without action is just a wish. You cannot ask for something new and refuse to move toward it. You cannot pray for change and continue living the same way. If you want to see a shift in your life, you must be willing to step out of the familiar, to walk even when you do not have all the answers, to trust that the ground will meet your feet when you take the leap. The transformation you seek is on the other side of action. The moment you decide to move, the moment you step forward with faith, is the moment everything begins to change. The past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. Too often we let our past define us, our failures, our mistakes, our heartbreaks. We wear them like a name tag, as if they are the full story of who we are. But no matter how many times you have fallen, no matter how many wrong turns you have taken, your past does not hold the power to determine your future. Every single day is an opportunity to rewrite the narrative, to step out of what was and into what can be. There is a voice that whispers, reminding you of all the reasons you cannot change. It replays old wounds, old regrets, old versions of yourself that you have outgrown. It tells you that because you struggled before, you will struggle again. That because things have always been a certain way, they will always remain the same. But that voice is a liar. The past is only a shadow, and shadows have no power unless you keep looking back. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones, each one representing a past mistake, a hurt, a failure, a missed opportunity. You have been walking with this weight for so long that you have forgotten what it feels like to be free. But what if you set it down? What if you stopped defining yourself by what happened yesterday and started focusing on what is possible today? The weight of the past only has power over you if you refuse to release it. The moment you let go, the moment you decide that your history does not dictate your destiny, everything changes. A new thing is already in motion, but you must be willing to receive it. You must stop seeing yourself through the lens of yesterday and start believing in who you are becoming. The road ahead is not built on who you used to be. It is built on the person you are choosing to step into today. The closed doors of the past were never meant to trap you. They were meant to redirect you. The failures were never meant to define you. They were meant to refine you. Everything you have been through was not a punishment but preparation for what is coming next. This is the moment to stand in expectation, to stop looking back, to stop replaying what went wrong, and to step boldly into what is ahead. The past cannot hold you unless you allow it. The mistakes cannot define you unless you surrender to them. And the pain cannot break you unless you refuse to rise. You are not bound by what was. You are being prepared for what is. The new thing you are waiting for is already waiting for you. You just have to decide that today, right now, you will step forward and claim it. There comes a moment in life when you have to decide whether you will keep carrying the weight of yesterday or step forward into the possibility of something new. That moment is now. This is not just another day. This is not just another speech. This is an invitation, an awakening of the soul, a stirring deep within, a quiet but undeniable call to let go of the old and make room for the new. You have been waiting, hoping, praying for a shift, for a breakthrough, for a sign that it is time to move forward, and here it is. The new thing you have been longing for is already unfolding, but it will not force its way into your life. It requires you to say yes. Yes to change, yes to faith, yes to stepping into the unknown even when your knees shake and your heart hesitates. It will not always be easy. The path ahead may not always be clear, but what you must understand is that the new thing waiting for you is far greater than anything you are leaving behind. The closed doors, the disappointments, the waiting, it was never meant to break you. It was meant to prepare you. Every lesson, every tear, every delay has been shaping you, refining you, building within you the strength to carry what is coming next. Imagine looking back at this very moment years from now, realizing that this was when everything changed. This was when you chose to believe that your past was not your prison. This was when you decided to stop waiting and start moving. This was when you silenced the doubts, broke free from the fear, and stepped boldly into the life that was meant for you all along. You were not created to remain stagnant. You were not designed to stay in the same place, repeating the same patterns, living in the shadows of what once was. You were meant to grow, to evolve, to step into greater purpose. And that starts today. Do not wait for everything to be perfect. Do not wait for the fear to disappear. Move anyway, trust anyway, believe anyway, because the new thing is already here. The shift has already begun, and the only question that remains is, will you step into it?